Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, facing the east, giving all praises, honor, and glory be to the Heavenly Father and His Son, by way of the Holy Spirit. Yahawah, Sham, Yahawashi, Sham, Kakwadash. Those are the true names of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Yahawah is the Father's true name. That means He is, He exists. Yahawashi is the Son's true name. That means He saves, He delivers, He is salvation. And Rakakwadash is the how you say Holy Spirit in the ancient Hebrew, the Paleo Hebrew, also known as the Lashawan Kodash. All right. So when you call upon your power, you want to call upon your power using those names: Yahawah, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, Ba'ashem, Kakodash. All right. Second of all, double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone, which rule well and teach well and sincerity tell us this truth. Shalom, shalom. It's your brother Yerami Kazak back with hopefully another edifying lesson through the spirit, power, and strength of Yahawah Ba'ashem, Yahawashi Ba'ashem Kakadash. This lesson will be entitled A Kingdom in Collapse. Okay. And that kingdom we are referring to is the Edomite kingdom, okay, which is, the so-called YT man is who you know as the Edomite. All right. And these banking families, they control and rule everything that's going on at this point in time. Okay. You could trace everything and you follow the paper trail, man. All right. And it's going to take you back to a small hat. It's going to take you back to these individuals that have their hand in everything from music, movies, entertainment, food, okay, everything. All right. Car production, planes, whatever it be. Okay. So they this is their rulership right now. And let's hit a couple precepts to prove that. And then let's go into this video that I have that where it's actually the Most High showed them their demise. He showed them that, their kingdom is going to collapse. So this is Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So this earth, okay, this present day earth, the entire planet, right, is given unto the hands of the wicked. 1 second. What I just say? Slack. So this present planet is given into the hands of the wicked, man. Those that rule, those that have been designed to be wicked from their, conception in the beginning in the garden. All right, let's take it from there and let's go to Malachi 1. And let's start at the top. The burden of the word of Yahawah to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, saith Yahawah. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved me? Us. Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith Yahawah? Yet I loved Jacob. And I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. So Esau is noted, is mentioned. This is who the father hates. Okay. So he does hate somebody, right? This is common knowledge if you actually read the Bible. But if you just live in a dream world and a fantasy, then you're thinking all these, popular opinion, which popular opinion is never the correct opinion, man. All right. Verse 4. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith Yahawah of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahawah hath indignation forever. All right. So wherever they reside, they are known as the border of wickedness. So if they reside in France, they rule over in France, they're wicked. They reside in the UK, they're wicked. Germany, they're wicked. Russia, they're wicked. It doesn't matter what they're putting out to the public, right? You got to think that your enemy could come and devise a plan to make it look like they're fighting one another to furthermore take you down, okay? This devil is extremely deceptive. He's extremely, shady. He's extremely subtle, as the scripture states, right? So that's one of his characteristics, is to be extremely, deceitful, okay, and to try to get you in different type of ways. To, hey, got a whole war going on and got you thinking this and that, to fool you and get you doing this and that, and taking away your gas supply, taking away your food, taking away all of this, to put you in a panic, man. This is why we ultimately go to these scriptures. We don't go to these news, whatever they saying, whatever Esau is stating and all of that. We know what's truly happening, and we know what the Lord is doing. When you get caught up in the world and, once again, popular opinion, and the atmosphere of the world, then you lose sight of the scriptures, because Esau is not aligned with the scriptures. He's aligned to take you away from prophecy, to make you fall into the trap and get caught up all in your emotions and things of that nature, and then you begun to spiral out of control, man. Right? So let's go back to Genesis. Let's go to Genesis and talk about how he is subtile. This is Genesis 3:1. Now the serpent was more subtile than any beast of the field which Yahawah power had made, and he said unto the woman, Yea, have power said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. Now, breaking this down, is that serpent goes into the Hebrew word Nakash, which simply means a wizard, a warlock, right? And we'll pull it up right here, okay? And you go into it to practice divination, divine, observe signs, learn by experience, diligently observe, practice fortune telling, take as an omen. Okay, so basically a wizard, man. Enchantment, an enchanter. All right, learn by experience, diligently observe. What does the YT man do to you? He observes. He looks and he preys on you. You are the prey. He is the predator. So he learns what you like. He learned that Jake liked malt liquor and fried chicken and violence and gang life and all of that. So Esau gives you that. Okay, he feeds that and pumps that into your communities, because he's observed you. He learns that you like shiny things and gold and silver and, big rims and all of this. So he pushes that to you. He pushes that to you via how? By using your own people to push it out. You have what you got, provocateur agents, all right, such as a Sexy Red, such as a Future, such as a Drake, such as a Kendrick Lamar, such as a J. Cole, such as these individuals. He uses these so-called celebrities to push out a certain vibration to people to keep them in a trap, right? And I hope this is making sense to whoever's hearing it, man, because this is what they're doing. But you got our people out there that's like, nah, they're just because you're surface level, right? You can't see past, right? Everything that's truly going on, and you're not living with a purpose. Everything is done purposefully. Every single scene that's shot on the movie screen, on the TV show, every single song that's released, right? Every single, the labeling, the packaging for the food, the colors that's put out. Why does McDonald's have this color and that color to draw you in? KFC, Popeyes, etc., etc. So Esau has searched and learned how to utilize all of this type of stuff. The music, the vibration. Okay. So once again, you have to live a purposeful life and understand. We have an unction to know all things. We now understand what herbs do. We now understand what certain colors do, what certain liquids do, why you should wake up. I woke up and drunk tea. I woke up and drunk some lemon tea, to get your body flowing, exercise, get your blood flowing. So you're coming back into learning how to live your life the correct and proper way, because knowledge is being increased according to Daniel's 12:4. Right? Esau, on the other hand, he searched things out and he knows how to produce wickedness at a high level, right? So it comes into mind where, man, your enemy is working constantly every single day towards you. Okay, you can't take no days off. you got to stay on your job as well. Because it's like a race now. And this devil is on your back, man. Okay. And you taking 2 steps. Okay. He taking 2 steps. You sleep. Guess what? He's still taking 2 steps. And he's going to catch up on you eventually, man, and destroy you. He's seeking as a lion, man, to devour whoever he can. So you got to stay on your job. Furthermore, in the Strongs, it says properly to hiss, i.e., whisper a magic magic spell, generally to prognosticate, certainly divine enchanter, enchantment learned by experience, indeed diligently observed. So Esau goes forth and puts spells, everything that I just mentioned with the music, the movies, the food, the the daggone pharmaceuticals. All right, these are spells, man. He puts you, he diagnoses you with a certain disease, and then he goes forth to give you a certain potion. That's all a pill is, and all of this, it's a certain potion, okay? And he gives you that for a certain amount of time, and it furthermore damages you and keeps you in that state. You gotta stop looking at everything like where it's modern, and no, everything is the same. Nothing is new under the sun, okay? A pill, Robitussin, and all that Advil, aspirin, whatever. This is nothing more than a potion, okay? It's nothing more than a concoction that this devil has went forth and produced, and it damages you. You understand? Especially the aspirin, the Tylenol, all of that type of stuff. It damages your liver. So over time, you may not feel the effects because you feel the temporary joy and treatment of it. But over time, 5 years, 10 years down the line, you continue to use that stuff, facing a problem that you should really address at the root, but you want to just take a temporary fix. You don't want to address your eating habits, which is full of inflammation that's leading to headaches. You just want to fix it right now. And that's the mindset of most Americans, man. Right? So over time, that spell that Esau has been giving you, it takes effect, and it begins to break your body down, where you're facing liver damage, and it's hard to reverse it because it's 5 years worth of damage because you took the easy way out, right? So just using that. Furthermore, that was going into serpent. Now he was what? He was more subtile. Let's get the word subtile. All right. And basically it goes into shrewd, crafty, sly, sensible, crafty, shrewd, sensible, prudent. Okay, this dude is wise to do evil. As the scripture states, he's more wiser than Daniel. Passive, practical, cunning, usually in a bad sense. And it definitely isn't a bad sense when it's talking about Esau Edom. So he can talk smooth. Let's get that. He can talk smooth to you, but he's, in his mind, he's setting you up for something. And that's what he's doing right now. That's what he's doing constantly, man. This is Psalms 55:21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. By him, coming with all these different type of programs, the WIC, the EBT, and all this type of stuff, to, hey, if you're a weak individual, then you're going to get addicted to this type of stuff, the Section 8 and all of that. And hey, your rent might be $10, and you're accustomed to that. And you're like, man, I'll just stay on Section 8. I'll just stay with EBT. I'll just stay, but that's a weak mindset, man. Well, now you don't want to get a job and you don't want to work, and you want Esau to be your baby daddy, and that's what a lot of these women are doing. And they think that they're balling because they getting other means and other money so they can go out here and do all this type of stuff and live a luxurious life because, their rent is cheap, as dirt cheap. And they're getting all these benefits from the government. So they have aligned themselves with Esau. And they've rejected the so-called black man, okay, or the so-called Latino man, the so-called Native American man. This happens all throughout Israel, all right, because our people have aligned with this subtile devil because he's crept in and giving you pleasure. He's crept in and given you sluggish ways, and you become a sluggard, and you've chosen pleasure over actually living a diligent life. So you're not hardworking anymore, man. We was an extremely hardworking group of people. We are going from slavery, coming out of that. We worked hard to get to where we at. We had morals, values, integrity, et cetera, et cetera. And then as Esau crept in more and more and came down, 60s, trying to take the man out of the household, he accomplished it, you know, and he turned the black woman against us. But that's all in the scriptures. Where the woman shall what? Surpass the man. So let's get that real quick. Or come past. This is Jeremiah 31 and 22. How long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? For Yahawah hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man. All right, and compass means to surround, to overtake. So now you're looking around, and the woman, she's having high positions and jobs. Esau has put her on an independent trip where she feels like she can do all of this by herself. She doesn't need a man. It's a single woman household is a custom. That's normal now. That's common. That should have never became common, but through Esau Edom, that became common. So hey, that's what we're seeing. Now, is that the proper way and the correct way? No. But it was meant to happen because that's prophecy, and we had to see it happen. Now, a real woman of Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi, she should be with a man of Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi, or waiting for Isaiah 4 and 1 to take place. You're not out here seeking just whatever, any old 2/3 dude or whatever. You're letting Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi work it out. So you're controlling yourself and maintaining yourself, and men as well. You're not out here just getting with any old thing, especially with the rate of HIV and AIDS and all that type of stuff flowing, man. Yo, this place it's a trap. It's a ticking time bomb ready to go off, man. These women, they're untrainable, they're untamable, and they're unexplainable. Because I can't explain why a woman would want to get red hair, purple hair, blue hair, all this bullshit that you see these days. Failing to understand that blonde hair thing that represents leprosy, that represents death. But hey, our women are flowing and aligning with Esau, and everything that he pushes out, they want to be, right? And it's saddening, but it is what it is. It's furthermore letting us know that we at this time, and let's get this precept in Second Esdras, that we at this time and his kingdom is about to collapse. This is Second Esdras 6 and 7, and it reads, Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of the times, or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So this happened in Genesis, the 25th chapter. So the end was shown to you in the beginning. As Yahawah says, I declare the end from the beginning. Okay? You have certain prophecies in Genesis, the 49th chapter, that lets you know where we will be at right now, the Israelites. And we've been waiting on Shiloh, Yahawashi, to come. So that has been declared from the beginning. But you have individuals out here that fail to understand that Yahawashi came in the volume of the book. He's been written about, since the beginning. Okay? And that's showing you furthermore that they don't have a spirit of prophecy. They don't believe in Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi. So these are most likely those individuals, when he came, they threw rocks at him, they mocked, they scoffed, even though he was doing all these miracles and different type of things. And now today they're saying that they're Old Testament only, right? And hey, those type of people, hey, Yahawah has set them up for a terrible fate, man. All right. So let's read that 6 and 9 again. This is Second Esdras 6 and 9. And it reads, For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So as we said, this is a kingdom in collapse. Okay. Esau must be ruling at this point in time. Now, what did we just break down? Who rules the earth? In so many ways, you look around. Who controls who's spraying the chemtrails in the air? All right. Who's going forth and just stepping in somebody's country and taking it over? All right, who's on the gates of Cuba right now? Who's turned off the power in Cuba? They have no power in Cuba. Who did that? Who took over Venezuela? Who's bombing Iran right now? Right? Who is doing these things? All right, for you individuals talking about the Arabs is Esau. Is the Arabs in Venezuela? Is the Arabs in Cuba? Is the Arabs did the Arabs shoot a direct energy weapon into Chile and went in and took the resources? Did the Arabs shoot a direct energy weapon in Hawaii and went in and took the resources? Did the Arabs shoot a direct energy weapon in North Carolina, Asheville, and went in and take the resources? I mean, make it make sense. So how is the Arabs Esau? You individuals don't understand the prophecies, man. You don't understand the Bible. Esau is in power right now. He has over 850 bases that we know about. Not to, you got black sites and stuff out there that he's not telling you about. So this man is set up on every continent. He has a base on every continent militarily. He has the most ships. All right. He has the most advanced military, even though he's getting exposed. But he has the most advanced military. All right. He has that sword. He's blessed with it. Right? So he's ruling the earth. The dollar was the standard. That was the thing. Now it's collapsing. It's being brought down low. But that was, at the tippy top for a minute. And the euro, okay, we ain't talking just about the Americans, but the Europeans as well. Those are Edomites. So the euro still has power. Right? Why did King Charles say that everybody got to get on this digital currency, this digital ID, this chip? You know what I'm saying? So the WEF, those are what? A lot of Edomites. All right. So the EU, we could keep going, NATO, et cetera, et cetera. These Edomites are making the decisions for the planet. So therefore, they rule the planet. So Esau is in power at this point in time, man. For Esau is the end of the world. So he has to be in power, and his kingdom, his world, is about to be destroyed. It's about to be brought down. His heaven, his rulership. And Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So who is Jacob? Right? Well, we know now that Esau is ruling the world. And furthermore, that includes the Amalekites, which are the false Jews, okay, the small hatters. So if they're ruling right now, they control 95% of, music industry, movies, all of that. Okay, they control all of that. You know what I'm saying? So if they're in power right now, then they're not going to rule afterwards. They can't be Jacob. So that furthermore ties into them not being Jacob, because they're in power right now and they're in the land right now. When the Israelites are in the land, it will be peace. All right. And they will rule with a rod of iron. Is the fake Jews ruling with a rod of iron? No, they're not. They're not. All right. So Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. Jacob is the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. That's what we understand. That's who we know to be Jacob. All right, because Jacob's name was changed to Israel, and his descendants would be Israelites, and their language would be Hebrew. Right? The same as our king, Yahawashi. Let's get this real quick. This is Hebrews 7 and 11 going downward. If therefore perfection were by the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people received the law, what further need was there that another priest should rise after the order of Melchizedek, and not to be called after the order of Aaron? For the priesthood being changed, there is made of necessity a change also of the law. For he of whom these things are spoken pertaineth to another tribe, of which no man gave attendance at the altar. For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood. And it is yet far more evident, for that after the similitude of Melchizedek, there arises another priest. So what you're seeing is a way for every single brother to be a king and a priest. Because back in the day, it was just what? It was just Levi. Okay. So that means, hey, we couldn't be priests, we couldn't do these type of things, but now it has been opened up. Yahawashi was not a Levite, he was of Judah. So under the order of Melchizedek, right, we have been set up, right? And that's coming forth, where every single Israelite man will be a king and a priest. So if you're denying your heritage, your culture, your customs, etc., you're furthermore, you're going against your inheritance, which is set up for you. And that's crazy, man. That's like, it's a term for it. Really can't remember it, but it's just like, you're homicidal towards your nation or something, right? And this has been set up for you to be profitable, for you to make it. Verse 16, who is made not after the law of a carnal commandment, but after the power of an endless life. So in all of that, you're going to get everlasting life. You're going to get what? A tenth. Because the order of Melchizedek, what? A tenth. You're going to get a tenth of what these heathens have. They're going to bring you the best of their crops, the best of their goods, the best of their livestock. Who is, verse 16, who is made not after the law of a carnal commandment, but after the power of an endless life? For he testifieth, thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. For there is verily, verily a disannulling of the commandment going before for the weakness and unprofitableness thereof. For the law made nothing perfect, but the bringing in of a better hope did, by the which we draw nigh unto power. Because you saw individuals going forth and they would commit a sin, but they would already have the sheep and the lamb and set up to go forth. It's like they trying to pull one over on the Most High. Okay. And they try to manipulate and twist the law. Okay. That's what you see the Pharisees doing. That's why when they brought the woman that they said was a harlot or whatever, they didn't bring the man. It's showing you that they're extremely deceitful. They was trying to play Yahawashi. That's why he said, all right, somebody cast the first stone. Who over here didn't sin? And they couldn't do nothing. Because they wicked, man. And that's the same today. Those same individuals are back today. They manipulating. We look at them manipulating the law. Yeah, these individuals talking about you can eat pork, you can do all of this, you can they're not caring about what was written, and they're trying to make the Father's words of no value. When the law is important, man, you must keep it to the best of your ability. You keep what you can, and the Most High knows what you can keep, and he knows what you can't keep. Right? So I was just reading that point just to show that Yahawashi is of what? The tribe of Judah, which furthermore goes back to being an Israelite. All right. And let me get one more point before I play the video. This is Revelations, the 7th chapter, starting at verse 4. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. So that 144, all right, which is men, shall be of the tribe of Israel. All right. This whole book is pertaining to the tribe of Israel. That's who owns it. Of the tribe of Judah were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Reuben were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Gad, 12,000. Of the tribe of Asher, 12,000. Of the tribe of Naphtali, 12,000. Of the tribe of Manasseh, 12,000. Of Simeon, 12,000. Levi, 12,000. The tribe of Issachar, 12,000. Of the tribe of Zebulun, 12,000. Of Joseph, which would really be Ephraim, all right, 12,000. And of Benjamin, were sealed 12,000. Then verse 9. After this, I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations, and kindreds, and people, and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. Now, the heathens would take this and twist this and say that this is everybody else. No. As we just stated, the 144,000 is men. Those are the prophets. Okay. Now, that great multitude is talking about the 1/3. That's the prophets. That's their wives. That's their kids. Okay. That's friends. That's people that help. That's people that believe, but their position is not to be a prophet. All right. So you have a 1/3. That is the great multitude. As it states, they're going to get white robes and palms in their hands. That's signifying purity. They're sanctified. Okay. So the heathens are not, they're not clean. They're not, they don't have the laws, commandments, and statutes. They don't have an opportunity to be saved. All right. They're going to simply be servants in the kingdom. Now, going back to the point, let's get to the video. All right. And fair use. I'm going to stop it at certain points. Let's jump into it.
It's not some science fantasy effect from 2001. This electronic display, emanating from Australia's largest computer, is a picture of the condition, past, present, and future of planet Earth. The program was originally devised by a scientist working from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, J. Forrester. It was developed under the auspices of the Club of Rome by an MIT research team to present a complex model of the world and what we humans are doing to it. The program, called World 1.
1 second. So the Club of Rome is something that need to be noted. All right, that's a big secret society. The Club of Rome. Okay, it's one of those think tanks. The Club of Rome is an international think tank and non-profit organization founded in 1968, comprising over 150 global intellectuals, business leaders, and scientists. It is dedicated to addressing complex, interconnected global issues, the world problematic, such as environmental degradation, resource, etc. Okay, resource depletion, inequality. They're not really, no, they're not caring about us. All right, so really, as you see, they're coming together, and this project, known as Project Looking Glass, is them looking in the future, which the Most High is giving them the ability to look into the future and to see that their kingdom is not going to continue, man. Okay? As he said, the program called World 1, I'm going to let it play, but they have all these different type of think tanks that's coming together to try to, formulate plans against us, formulate plans against the Most High. This is Esau putting all his greatest heads together, trying to fight the Most High. Okay, as the scripture states in Psalm 64, he shall suddenly shoot at the perfect and not fear. So this is what he does. All the alphabet groups, CIA, FBI, all these individuals, is set up to track and keep data. Esau loves his little statistics. You know what I'm saying? So let's run it.
Doesn't pretend to be a precise forecast. What it does for the first time in man's history on the planet is to look at the world as one system. It shows that Earth cannot sustain present population and industrial growth for much more than a few decades. It shows that simply cleaning up our car exhausts and making some small effort to limit our families simply isn't enough. It's like an electronic guided tour of our global behavior since 1900 and where that behavior will lead us. Well, this is the printed version of what we've just seen on the television screen. What looks at first to be just a maze of computer characteristics is really a system of very simple graphs which project what's going to happen to the planet over the next 150 years if we don't do something drastic to stop it. Down the left-hand side of the graph is the date, 1900, 1940, 1980, 2020, right down to 2060. Now, each of these lines of letters represents a curve showing some aspect of the condition of the planet. The further up this way they go, the greater that figure is, the further this way, the less. For example, P represents population. So here it is at 1900, and then it comes up to 1940, it starts to take off. Here we are at 1980, up to the turn of the century, and then it starts to peter off. Let's now have a look at this next curve, the Q curve, which is the quality of life. And this is represented by, for example, the amount of space people have, the amount of money they have to spend, the amount of food they have to eat. Now, it increases rapidly up to 1940, but from 1940 on, the quality of life diminishes.
And that's tight, because their peak was around 1940, 1950. That's when Esau could call you a nigga and nobody could do nothing about it. Like, Esau riding around hanging boys back in the South. Yeah, definitely. You know what I'm saying? So Esau was at his peak around the 40s and the 50s, man. You actually had real cars, metal cars, right? The production and all of that. Man, Esau had houses, $5,000 houses, $2,000 house. I'm talking about 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, right? They was living good. The food, oranges, and all of that was actually solid. It was actually good food, So their peak, the quality of life, was the best around 1940, 1950. And then from that, as you can see, it just spirals back to, it's going back to how it was back in the, 1800s or whatever. So under his rulership, life has gotten worse. You know what I'm saying? And that lines up with Revelations 12 and 12. Let's get that. And it reads, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time." Okay? So as he knows that, he knows he has but a short time, he comes down with great wrath, so the quality of life decreases. He comes down and tries to limit the population with the Georgia Guidestones. He wants to bring the population to 500 million. And he wants to control the earth like in a totalitarian type of government structure, where he controls your private and your public. Everything that you do, everything that you say, everything that you put out, et cetera, is monitored. You know what I'm saying? And furthermore, with him doing all of that, the earth, the nations are going to hate him. And the earth is becoming more violent with the storms and all of that. You know what I'm saying? And the sun and hey, this place is tired of him, man. Okay, because he's not taking care of it the proper way, the correct way. The earth is weak because you don't allow it to rest. It's a such thing known as a land Sabbath. Every 7 years, you're supposed to allow the land to rest. You're supposed to produce enough crops and have reserves. And then on that 7th year, allow the land to rest so it can gain back its nutrients and value. And then the next year, you plant and the crops will be strong again. But Esau doesn't care about a balance. He has no balance. This is Revelations 11 and 18. "And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged." The heathens, those are known as the dead. All right, they're about to be judged. All right, and you 2/3 that want to align with these heathens. You are heathens as well. You're moving in a Gentile state of mind. Once again, you rejecting your inheritance, so you don't care. You rejected Yahawah and Yahawashi, so you got to die with these individuals, man. "And that thou shouldst give reward unto thy servants, the prophets." So it's cut clear. It's drawn right there. You either a servant, all right, a saint, part of the remnant, or you a part of the dead, the congregation of the dead. Okay? "And to the saints and them that fear thy name." You either fear or you don't fear. Right? "Small and great, and shall destroy them which destroy the earth." So these individuals that's destroying the quality of life, that's destroying the way of this human experience, you know, it's been destroyed. Like I just stated with the HIV cases and all of this, you've created around the 70s, you created a disease, which we know is HIV AIDS, man. Okay, which really, if you break it down, it just attacks your immune system. It attacks your blood cells, and it makes it where your immune system is destroyed. You know what I'm saying? And to really, it goes at all the selenium in your body and stuff of that nature. And to prevent that, you could eat. Well, to prevent that, of course, you know, don't be out here in the streets. You know what I'm saying? And selenium is actually is really good for you. All right, so you can get that from Brazil nuts. You can get that from, you know, different type of nuts, things of that nature, that selenium. But don't overdo it. I eat like 1 or 2 Brazil nuts a day, you know, and that's a good balance, because too much is too, you know, is bad for you. And that goes back into having a balance. We've been taught in the law a balance where Esau doesn't give you a balance. You know, he'll encourage you to binge watch a show or to overeat, or you got places like, you know, these all you can eat. Well, you don't need to eat all that much. You just need a good little balance. Okay, you going back for seconds and thirds, and people eat. You don't supposed to eat till you're full. You're supposed to eat till you're good, but not full where you're stuffed. You know. So hey, let's keep it going.
And here we are about the turn of the century, and we come up to the year 2020, and it's really come right back. More people, of course, means that you start to chew up your supply of natural resources. And this is this curve here, the N curve, that shows that slowly but steadily the pool of natural wealth in the world, natural resources, minerals, oil and so on, is slowly but steadily diminishing. So this is the situation. As population increases, the quality of life decreases, and the supply of natural resources decreases. But have a look at this curve here.
And this is why, this is because, and this is not really, I mean, this is true, but it's not true, because if they ran the planet correctly and properly, it's more than enough. Okay? We can have as many kids as we want and be straight. It's more than enough. You got more than enough land. You got more than enough resources available. All right? But the way that Esau runs this planet, he's draining it dry. He's running it dry. Okay? You got different ways to run. Bro, plenty of people have created cars that run off of water. They've created cars that run off of plastic. They created cars that run off of air. You know, run off the sun and all that type of stuff. Yeah. Okay, you don't need gas. Oil, if you go into oil really came around the 1700s, 1800s. It wasn't, you know, and yeah, but before that, you had, looking into the old world, you actually had certain trains that ran off of water. Okay, but that stuff is being suppressed. Okay, and that it came back out around the early 1900s. But what happened? Those individuals got took out, and those inventions got suppressed. They got disposed of. Okay, you had what you call the Reich machine that could cure cancer, but that individual got took out, and that machine got disposed of. The same way that you have these scientists now disappearing. You have 11 scientists that disappeared so far, and they've been creating these type of free energy machines. They've been curing cancer. They've been doing all of this type of stuff, but Esau has been suppressing it because he is the oppressor. All right. So this is true when Esau is ruling, but according to the way that the Most High set up the planet, this planet is full. It's an abundance of life. You got an abundance of fruit. You got an abundance of resources, ran in a balance. Look at Gad living their life. They lived in a balance. They didn't overeat the buffalo. They would kill 1 or 2 buffalo, maybe 3 a year. Okay, and that would feed the whole, tribe, man. Esau came through. You got this individual, Buffalo Bill, who got a reward for killing damn near 3,000 buffalo in 1 year. Okay, it's no balance, and they did that shit to come at Gad, man, so Gad wouldn't have nothing to eat. It's a damn devil, man. Okay, he's a devil, bro. You know what I'm saying? So the quality of life, of course, would spiral out of control because this individual is petty, he's hateful, and he's wicked in every sense, man. So once again, this is true under the rulership of Esau. But the way that Yahawah set the planet up to be, the planet can go forever. Okay? When it's ran in balance. Proverbs 11:1. Let's get that real quick before we play the video. A false balance is abomination to Yahawah, but a just weight is his delight. So a false balance. That's what has been done on this planet. And that's why it's spiraling out of control. That's why there's no resources. That's why.
It's called the Z curve, and it represents pollution. Now, predictably enough, as the population increases up to 1980, pollution increases. There's more rubbish. But from 1980 to the year 2020, pollution really takes off. This is assuming, of course, that we don't do anything about it. So the year 2020, the condition of the planet starts to become highly critical. And if we don't do anything about it, this is what's going to happen. The quality of life is going to go right back to practically zero. Pollution is going to become so serious, right out here, that it will start to kill people. So the population will diminish. Right back here, less than it was in the year 1900. And at this stage, around about the year 2040, 2050, civilized life as we know it on this planet will cease to exist.
What? We know we're gonna see that. We're gonna see the Edomite kingdom, dissolve and be took away much sooner than 2040, 2050. Okay, because our king is on the way, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Yahawah, man. Less than a year, we pray. Okay, but we gotta endure, and we gotta watch as this enterprise is being set up, and it's gonna crumble extremely fast, and we know that because of prophecy, right? Now, as far as pollution, Esau has the means of getting rid of all this pollution, but they don't want to. They don't do it the proper way and the correct way. Okay, it's better ways to get rid of waste, but like I said, they suppress and they destroy any type of invention that comes out that can handle these issues. This is why, once again, 11 scientists have been killed. Okay, but you got in the UK, you got a fish that runs off of plastic and is eating plastic that's in the oceans. Okay, so they care a little bit more about their water supply than America, because they created these type of inventions to battle the problems that they're facing. And like I said, its fuel is plastic. It runs off of plastic. It's designed like a fish, and it runs off of plastic, so it can, and it eats plastic, so it can really go forever. Depending on how much plastic is in the water, and it's a lot of plastic in the water. We was out, on deployment in the Navy, and we know that it's you can find this. It's like an island of trash that's floating around the planet. That shit is massive. Okay. And hey, what we did on the ship as well is the way that we disposed of our trash, which is 5,000 people. I was on a carrier. It was 5,000 people on there. You throw your trash over, you take it to the trash place and they throw it over the side. So they just throwing all their trash in the ocean when it's better ways to dispose of it, man. But Esau they ain't moving like that. They don't care about the planet. So going back to Revelations 11 and 18, those that destroy the planet, man, will be destroyed. All right. And furthermore, going back to pollution, it was a machine that was actually created, I believe, in like the 1940s or 50s, that it took pollution and it turned it into like H2O, like water. And like the way that these oil facilities produces the smoke, you know, that black smoke that messes up the air, like you see in LA, the smog, it it did the opposite. It turned whatever it, you know, ran off of, it turned that stuff into water. So water vapor would go up. All right. And it would actually increase and it would benefit the environment. But once again, this individual got took out, got you know, unalive, killed, whatever, and the invention got disposed of. So it's so many different ways that you could help the earth, but Esau rejects all of them, and the quality of life, you know, takes a hit. So as he said, life will cease to exist in 2040, 2050, whatever. You know, and like we said, we know it's coming sooner than that. So what we're seeing is the collapse of this empire regardless. So you individuals talking about your kids is going to grow up and go to college and they're going to have kids. No, they're not, man. As this man just told you, this place got about 10 more years left, if that. And we know it's less than that. Let's keep it going.
Well, hopefully, of course, it won't be allowed to happen. But it's taken this kind of shock treatment to nudge governments into doing something, and slowly we're starting to clean up our atmosphere, we're starting to recycle our rubbish, we're doing something positive about population control. But so far, our efforts have really been just a drop in the ocean. The Club of Rome comprises some 70 men of widely varying backgrounds, but their common concern is that the world problems cannot be solved by individual nations. I spoke with Professor Hugo Tiemann, director of the Battelle Institute Geneva, Dr. Aurelio Pache, founder of the club, and Dr. Alexander King, director of the World Bank and the United Nations OECD. Dr. King, now you're describing the world as a closed system where all these things are interrelated, and yet the government, the control of the system is by individual nation states. Now, how do you convince them to cooperate?
The sovereignty of these nations is no longer as absolute as it was. There's a gradual diminishing, whittling away of sovereignty, little bit by little bit. Especially, of course, in the smaller countries where it's more obvious. But the bigger countries have to do a good deal of this by agreeing to international arrangements for the law of the seas, or for the limits of fishing, or for control of the wavelengths in radio, and 101 other things. But especially in the technological field, I think this is going to be increasingly so with those developments next year. I was at an important meeting in Washington a couple of weeks ago, and Peterson, the former Secretary of Commerce, was saying the same thing from an economic point of view, that the general world economic situation, interdependence of countries on their food and fuels and so on, is leading to an interdependence which has seeds of draining away of sovereignty within it. So I don't think one can envisage an idealistic of jumping to a world federalism or anything of that sort. But the building up probably in the next decade in a number of particularly sensitive fields like energy, raw materials, the use of the oceans, space and so on, of a number of what people are tending to call regimes, which will not be ordinary United Nations type of organizations, but semi-management organizations. There'll be a great deal of consent in them.
Yeah. Okay. So that's things like Tesla, things like Amazon, things like Google, et cetera, and them talking about they going to Mars, you know, and they're leaving Earth and colonizing the space and all. That shit is bullshit, bro. Y'all not leaving. Okay. So you can go and destroy another planet. All right. Let's get a precept on that, because the Most High is not allowing you to venture out. All right. This is Amos 9:2. Though they dig into hell, thence shall mine hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. So you're trapped. You're stuck. You keep lying and talking about you went to the moon. You're sending probes to space. You got stuff on Jupiter, stuff on Mars, stuff on whatever. It's all lies. Okay, you haven't went anywhere. you know, and you know the truth just based upon this stat, this graph. The most I showed you, man, that you're not, your civilization is declining. And as you can see, this is in black and white. This is old, you know. So he gave you the understanding back then that you have no, you have no continuing city, man. All right, this place is done. But yeah, these markets and things have been made, and Tesla is an illusion because the real Tesla, Nikola Tesla, he created free energy. He created where you didn't need no wires. You didn't need none of that. He used the ether out of the air. Okay. You know, and the Most High allowed him to understand that and to bring it forth. Where he had a satellite, basically a tower, and it could power like a light bulb that was like 20 miles away, you know. And he told JP Morgan, okay, that it was gonna be free energy. And JP Morgan said, nah. And then after that, all his funding got took away. Okay, because nah, JP Morgan, like, nah, free, hold up, free, nah, bro. We can't do nothing free. Okay. Esau ain't trying to do nothing for free. So the technology would have changed the planet, but it wasn't good for the money. It wasn't good for the business. That's the same reason that hemp was not used, because hemp is far superior to metal and, you know, all that type of stuff. But it's not used because what does it do? What would it do? It would lower cost of everything. If houses were built off of hemp repels sunlight, it repels heat. So your house would be cooler in the summer, and then it pulls in, you know, in the winter, it would have your house warmer, more insulated. It's an ideal material to build off of. But no, we can't have that. So this individual loves death, man. He loves making it hard. Once again, he is the oppressor, and his empire is on a collapse. And the water Yahawashi, you should be rejoicing at this time, man. This shit is over. You know, we almost there. We got to go through the intensity of Jacob's trouble, which we in Jacob's trouble, but it has to intensify and get worse, you know, and et cetera, they have to come through like a flood. But let's get that real quick. We understand that the standard will be lifted. So the closer we get to the end, the more communication and connection we're going to have with Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi. This is Isaiah 59:19. So shall they fear the name of the Lord. You got to know those names. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi. From the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun, when the enemy shall come in like a flood. Who's the enemy? Okay, this damn devil. The spirit of Yahawah shall lift up a standard against him. Okay, so spiritual powers, that standard is going to be lifted up. If you're not in the know of everything, you know, you're not keeping the doctrine, you don't fear the name, then that standard is not going to be lifted for you. It don't matter if you're an Israelite or not. You don't fear. You don't care. You still calling on JC. But you're not making it that way, man.
Shea views the European common market as an elementary example of the kind of regional cooperative which is going to be necessary. What responsibilities does he see for Australia?
Australia, you are in a splendid position.
What should we do?
You have food, energy, space. You are distant from other centers, so you can, for a longer time, feel rather more independent than interdependent. But things of the world are going so fast that I think that an enlightened leadership in Australia should see down the road that Australia will have to lose some of its on self-decisions in order to acquire something else which may be purely political in very wide sense, or maybe also security.
And Australia is on that, you know, because the Edomites rule Australia. So they are, of course, they are in line with the CHIP and the MOTB and all of that is coming down there. They're actually, as far as this digital ID and all of that and the security and stuff, Australia is they're on board, majorly. Like they're in the front line for it, right? You got Sweden, Switzerland, these countries, of course, and Australia is coming down, they're coming down on those citizens hard. So just because they're out there, they're still ruled by the Edomites. Keep that in mind. Matter of fact, I'm about to end it, but Australia is actually just how they did that graph of all of that. They're also doing a similar project. It's called the Black Box. All right. This thing right here. Let's see if I can pull it up. All right. Australia is building a massive black box that will survive. No, it won't. After the Earth is destroyed to record what caused the event. Okay. And it's not going to survive no nuclear attack, man. Okay. If Australia is hit by nukes, that's if. Right. And regardless, if they not, we could destroy it easily. Okay. So, but it's just the fact that they know, and they're running. Nothing is new under the sun. They're doing a similar event, how they just did with that graph that we just showed you. That same thing. So it's just it's that whole situation in a bigger form, right? And it's to record. So the black box, which is on the plane to show how the plane crashed and all of that, is just that. But for a world state, right? And they're pushing their little stupid agenda of global warming. Global warming is on the rise with passing days, and so is climate change every day. And because of these circumstances, the planet is also undergoing mounting ecological changes that might have, that might have dire consequences upon human beings, and the symptoms have already begun to show. It ain't no damn global warming, man. Okay? You out here affecting and messing with the earth, messing with the climate. And we saw that, we noticed that just off of Iran destroying your radars, and it began to rain over there. But you talking about some global warming. It ain't rain in the so-called Middle East because of you, devil. All right? Because you've been stopping the rain. Because you and your technology has been damaging the earth. Because you destroy the earth. You are the reason. And I believe it's probably like that over here in Cali, man. All right? They probably got radars somewhere and stuff that's stopping the rains, man. Because California used to be a lush area, right? But Esau does certain things just to do them, man. Just because he can. He definitely has the ability to control the weather, man. To a certain capacity. All right. So hey, that's pretty much it on all that. It's just furthermore, he know that his end is near. As he's saying, he's building a black box that will survive after the earth is destroyed to record what caused the end. And furthermore on that, because don't get it twisted, don't get it misconstrued, the earth will not be destroyed. The earth, but the heaven, the rulership. Let's get Ecclesiastes 1:4. One generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. Okay? So the earth is going to be here forever. All right? Like I said earlier, everything Yahawashi made is good. It's abundant. If it's ran the proper way that he wanted it to be ran, then it's going to last forever. All right? Everything works off of one another. Everything produces its own kind. The fruits, the vegetables, they drop seeds. Stuff continues to go. That's how it's designed. But with Esau pulling the reins is trash. It's sloppy. It's weak. You got GMOs and all of that. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, with that being said, pray this was an edifying lesson. Giving all praises, honor, and glory be to Yahawah, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, Ba'ashem, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone as always. Shalom, shalom to the Lord's hopeful elect. Kwam Yasha Allah and a Baba Ball. All right, shalom, shalom. Keep the faith.